Not everybody in the community, in the Hispanic and the African American community, particularly in rural areas that are distant and or inner city districts, know how to get online.
I'm just giving you a quote. Jen Psaki is probably the dumbest White House press secretary I've ever seen in my 30-year life, at least. Certainly in the last 3 presidents, going back to Barack Obama. But the way that the media carries the water for Joe Biden and the Democrats, it's so ridiculous. They give softball questions. I mean, we saw it during the campaign. They instead of asking hard-hitting questions like, are you going to ban fracking, and then holding him to responsible to answer, they asked him what his favorite ice cream was. They asked him what he was going to do for the holidays. What was he going to do for Christmas? How was he feeling that day? Meanwhile, mind you, this is just late-breaking news. Today, on I guess Thursday, he called the lid at 9 in the morning on being a president. I don't know of any president in the last certainly 30 years, but in any modern presidency, they called the lid at 9 o'clock in the morning and just said, you know what? I don't need to be president today. I'm just going to... But again, this just goes to prove across the board what's going on, because the other day, this entire week, but most certainly, I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday, one of the two, there are hundreds of people in Texas freezing with no electric, no running water for multiple days on end. And he is at Camp David playing Mario Kart with his kids. I couldn't imagine Donald Trump during anything, let alone a state of an emergency for a state, to go play Mario Kart with his kids. I couldn't imagine what would happen in the media. But instead, we get things like this.
Quick question from this morning. The
Sure.
president received ashes for Ash Wednesday. What, if anything, is he giving up for Lent?
Oh, what a good question. I should have asked him that question today.
Oh, what a great question. I didn't even think to ask the President of the United States during a pandemic, during a state of an emergency where a state is without power for multiple days. What in the world is he giving up for Lent? That is the hard-hitting questions that we need in the media in 2021. What is sleepy Joe Biden going to do? What is he going to give up for Lent? I'll tell you what he needs to give up. He needs to give up the presidency, because he is doing a horrible job. He is running this country by executive order, and he's just destroying it day in and day out when he's not playing Mario Kart. So my suggestion to Joe Biden for what he needs to give up for Lent is he needs to give up the presidency. He shouldn't be president at all. He shouldn't. Anybody who voted for Joe Biden to be president should be locked in an insane asylum. Okay? And to further prove my point, he has zero idea. He has zero moral turpitude at all. Zero morals. His moral compass is broken. And by broken, I mean pieces scattered across the desert somewhere. This is what he had to say when asked at his town hall the other night. When asked about how the Chinese are handling the Uyghurs in their party. Here, check this out.
Chinese leaders, if you know anything about Chinese history, it has always been the time when China has been victimized by the outer world is when they haven't been unified at home. So the central, to vastly overstated, the central principle of Xi Jinping is that there must be a united, tightly controlled China. And he uses his rationale for the things he does based on that. I point out to him, no American president can be sustained as a president if he doesn't reflect the values of the United States. And so the idea, I'm not going to speak out against what he's doing in Hong Kong, what he's doing with the Uyghurs in western mountains of China, and Taiwan trying to end the one China policy by making it forceful. I said, and by the he said he gets it. Culturally, there are different norms at each country, and their leaders are expected to follow.
So the mass genocide of people in a country is normal. That's normal. That's the cultural norm for the Chinese. Just absolutely immoral. Just ridiculously immoral, to be in fact. Speaking of immoral and out of touch and ridiculous in the same sense, to celebrate this monumental month, the greatest month in all the 12 months, Black History Month, and to kick off our celebration of Black History, which we're almost through with the month, but to kick off this particular segment for Black History, the Black History Month, let's go to your president, the president who won the most votes of any person in the history of the presidency, the history of elections in America. They haven't even stopped counting. He got so many. 80. Next week it'll be 85 million. The next week we're looking at 200 million. It just keeps going up. It keeps going up. It keeps rising. He keeps getting more and more votes. He's so popular that other countries came here and voted. Other citizens from other countries came here to elect Joe Biden. This is what he had to say.
The other portion is a lot of people don't know how to register. Not everybody in the community, in the Hispanic and the African American community, particularly in rural areas that are distant and or inner city districts, know how to get online to determine how to get in line for that COVID vaccination at the Walgreens or at the particular.
So, the president of Unity, the most popular president, the man who beat out the numbers that Barack Obama brought in, just said that Latino or Hispanic and Black citizens, people, aren't intelligent enough to get on the internet and figure out where to go get a vaccine. He just said, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, you're taking it out of... I'm not. He literally specifically said, Hispanic and Black communities don't know how to get on the internet and find where to get the vaccine. I'm just giving you a quote. He specifically said that they are not intelligent enough to turn on a computer, that they're not intelligent enough to turn on a computer and figure out where to go get vaccines. Speaking of getting on a computer, I need you to make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment. Matter of fact, comment right now. Comment right now. Pause it or listen in the background. Comment if you are a Hispanic or a black or a minority in general. If you are anybody but a white male, comment and tell me whether or not you know how to use the internet. If you're intelligent enough to get on the internet, you're obviously intelligent enough to find this podcast. Comment, tell me that whether or not you are intelligent enough to get on the internet and find out where to get a vaccine.